Hello beautiful people, my name is Amanda Zito, and if you are new here, I make motorcycle travel content. I make how-tos, travel vlogs, all of the good things, hopefully to inspire you to get your own bike and get out there and do the thing. Today we are going to be talking a little bit about riding in the cold. It's the first time in a very long while there has been blue sky in Portland, and I'm out here taking advantage of it. Rick pointed out on my last video that I have not been riding a whole lot, which is absolutely true. It has been under 40 degrees, raining, and just overall disgusting in Portland the last solid couple weeks actually. I will ride in that weather when I have to get somewhere, but when I'm home and I'm going on a pleasure ride, it's just not my jam. All y'all can do whatever you want. Anyway, Rick mentioned that he's not a big fan of gear reviews, but he did ask me if I would make a video about my tips for cold weather riding. So here we are. Layering is one of the most underrated ways to stay warm that I have ever seen in the motorcycling community. We can learn a lot from hikers and people who have been working in the outdoor industry forever. Of course, there are certain things that we have to do as motorcyclists to kind of adapt this knowledge of staying warm in the cold for our particular circumstances. For example, getting some kind of wind skirt or a chin curtain for your helmet can help so much when you're on the highway. Even if you do wear a balaclava, that is going to keep a lot of wind from coming up into your helmet, which, you know, hikers probably wouldn't think about. And we'll talk about other things like windscreens and heated gear and that kind of thing that are more specific to the bike. But like all things, it's really important to start with a good, solid base of information, in our case, base layers, so that you can stay warm on or off of the bike before we get into the rest of the more motorcycle specific things. So ideally, when you're layering for the motorcycle, you're gonna have a base layer, a mid layer, an insulating layer, and your shell. Now you can absolutely add more layers to this. I definitely do, but that is gonna be your core. The idea of your base layer is to create a little bubble of warmth against your skin. Synthetics are great at this because it's essentially plastic, so it's keeping all that heat in and not letting any of it escape. Polys, nylon, spandex, those kind of things. Merino wool is also a fantastic base layer. I'm personally allergic to it, so I can't have it touching my skin, so my merino wool is often the layer between my base and my mid layer. Your mid layer is often going to be some kind of fleece or a thicker merino wool layer. Traditionally, your insulating layer is going to be some kind of down jacket. This isn't always great. If you ride in a moist climate, synthetic down is going to be a lot better for you because it's going to insulate you a little bit better, even if it does get a little bit damp. Then finally, your shell layer, which for most of us is going to be your normal riding jacket, especially textile jackets that have some kind of rain layer in them already. That's going to block the wind. If you have a jacket that doesn't have a rain layer, or if you only have a summer jacket, if you can get a thin rain jacket or a windproof jacket to layer underneath of your motorcycle jacket, that's going to keep you so much warmer. With all those things in mind, our whole goal is to trap the heat that our body is already producing against our skin, and then also keeping any outside wind or coldness from reaching our little heat bubble inside. Now that is the most basic, quick and dirty version of layering that I have ever given, but for the sake of keeping this video under 40 minutes, that's what it's gonna be. I will leave links down in the description to very specific products that I use to layer when it's cold. I also have a full-on blog post going into way more detail, linked down in the description if you would like to delve in a little bit further. A couple of mods that you can make to your motorcycle to keep you just a little bit warmer when it's cold outside is first and foremost a windscreen. Deflecting any kind of wind that's going to be hitting you full on when it's cold outside is going to be so much nicer than not having one at all. It does make a really big difference. Speaking of wind protection, if you don't have hand guards on your bike already, that can help your hands from starting to freeze immediately versus 10 or 15 minutes down the line. Another thing that's going to help your hands a ton is things like hippo hands. These are like tiny mittens for your grips, and it's going to create a nice little oven of warmth, especially if you combine them with heat grips. Hippo Hands is an amazing company. They've been making these for ages. They're super durable. You can tell it has survived a couple of dumps on my bike already. I seriously don't know how I existed before having heated grips. I personally have the Bike Master heated grips because they have a little bit more control over how high the heat is or how low it is, depending on what climate you're riding in. You don't want your heated grips to be on full blast if it's only just a little bit chilly. Another thing you can do if you have a cruiser that has those big old engine guards is to get engine guard covers. It's gonna block more of the wind from hitting your legs. Of course, there are exceptions, but most of the time, motorcycle-specific cold weather gear is gonna be twice as expensive and sometimes a lot less effective than the regular outdoor gear version of that product. So don't be afraid to shop at stores like REI or Sportsman's Warehouse, Big Five, any outdoor retailer that's near you to get those base layers and insulating layers that you can wear underneath of your gear. Of course, the exception to this is going to be all of our protective layers that have armor in them, like our outer jacket, our pants, our boots, gloves, helmets, those kind of things. Those kind of need to be motorcycle specific. I have found through lots of trial and error that snowmobile gloves are going to be the warmest and most waterproof gloves you're gonna find on the market. There are obviously pros and cons. The pros being that they're gonna keep your hands warm enough while still being able to maintain feel for your controls because they're not gonna be like giant marshmallow gloves. However, the con side, they're not designed to withstand hitting pavement at 60 miles per hour. So if you get into an accident, more than likely those gloves are gonna shred and they don't have any kind of armor or protection on them. So, pros and cons. Something that some people don't think about is that you need to pee before you go on a ride, and you need to stop as soon as possible if you know that you have to pee. I know that it sounds like a duh comment, but your body is actively redirecting energy that was keeping you warm to keep your pee at body temperature. So stop as humanly possible so that your body can go back to using that energy to keep the rest of your body warm. Another thing that's going to help you stay warmer on the bike is to get on the bike warm. What I mean is do jumping jacks, jump around, run around enough that you're gonna get your body nice and warm, but not enough that you're gonna sweat in the layers that you're gonna be riding in. This goes for the bike too. Start the bike up a good 10-15 minutes before you plan to take off so the engine has time to heat up. The heat from the engine is gonna keep your legs just a little bit warmer than that would otherwise, or at least it will on most bikes that aren't covered in plastics. Neck buffs are an amazing thing and they really do make a difference. If you have room enough in your helmet, I highly encourage you to wear a balaclava. I have never been able to find one that was thin enough to fit in my helmet with my hair, but if you can, highly recommend balaclavas. Heated gear is a huge topic and more than I can tackle in this video alone. Things that I have learned personally, don't rely on just the heated gear to keep you warm. Even if it is plugged directly into the bike, so you have no worries about it losing juice, you still need to have a good insulating and mid layer on top of that heated gear to keep all that heat in. So heated gear is gonna be great, but it's not gonna be awesome if the wind is still hitting that heated gear and dispersing the heat not next to your body, if that makes sense. I personally don't like being plugged into the bike. I have gone that route. I now know that it's not for me, so I now have battery-powered heated gear. I personally have mobile warming. I love it. Also, the closer you can get the heated gear to your skin, the better. Be careful with heated gear that has the wires that run through it instead of the heat pads, especially if that is going to be an area where there is high pressure or something that presses down on it, like armor. I had a pair of heated pants that had the wires running through it instead of the heated pads, and where the wires were underneath of the knee pads on my pants, I started getting heat blisters because the armor was pressing down on those heated wires and pressing it into my skin. It was not a good feeling. So if I can help you avoid that, I would like that. All those things taken into consideration, I really don't think that you need heated gear to stay warm on the bike. A good good layering system is going to keep you much warmer for much longer. I do highly recommend Hia grips though, and a set of Hippo hands. That's really going to extend your riding season. My last tip for you, it's something that I have learned from some of my new friends who are mountaineers, is that if you're riding for a half hour or more and you start to get really cold, stop and eat some fatty food. Your body is going to produce more heat processing that food than anything else, and it's going to help you stay warmer for the rest of your ride. But even if you can't stop and consume some fatty food, it is more important than ever while traveling in the cold to be carrying snacks on the bike. Your body needs consistent fuel to stay warm. So if you do start to get cold, you can't stop at a restaurant and eat some fatty food. Stop and eat some snacks. Not only is the break going to be good for you so you can stretch and get warmed up, take a little break from the chilly wind, but also consume some snacks so that you can refuel your body. This is important in the winter especially, but also in the summer. I talked about it over in my video where I gave you some tips for riding longer miles. If you haven't gone and watched that, go do that now. I think that is all I've got for you today, guys. If this was helpful, let me know down in the comments. If you have other things that you do especially to keep warm when you're riding in the cold, I would love to hear them down in the comments below. I want to give a huge shout out to my patrons on Patreon who make these videos possible every week. They are badass. If you like my content and would like to support this channel for as little as $1 a month, you can get early access to videos like these over on my Patreon account. Link for that is down in the description. If that's not up your alley, that is totally okay. I have lots of ways for you to support me, including buying me a gallon of gas over on my Ko-Fi. I also have print stickers, originals, all the good things in my Redbubble and my Etsy shop. Links to all of those things are down in the description. If you can't support me monetarily, that is absolutely okay. I appreciate you guys just for being here every week, and I will see you guys later. And now I'm gonna go enjoy what is left of the blue sky. It's 3 o'clock. I have 1 hour left until the sun goes down.